A family of 4 called the Strange Family were normal people, but it was 5 years ago that they had strangely entered another world when they moved. That world was full of demi-humans with shape-shifting powers. The Strange Family had entered a country called Eldreda, and in one of its cities called Eldoria, and only werewolves lived in that country, humans who had wolf-like ears and tails, and the Strange Family lived with the family of 4 werewolves that they were also moving. They found a wall-to-wall house and they lived together in that house for 5 years. They had become a good family of 8 people. Robin, the little boy of the Strange Family, with black hair and green eyes, was only 10 years old. He was sleeping on his soft and warm bed in a room. The sun was shining on his face from behind the window curtain. It made him wake up. Robin Strange rubbed his eyes and sat on the bed and felt confused because of sleepiness and muttered, "Oh damn, this sun won't let me sleep for a minute or two." He lay down again and covered the white cloth blanket. He covered his face so that the sun wouldn't hurt his eyes. A 10-year-old girl with brown hair and blue eyes. He had the ears and tail of a wolf and his name was Rira. Rira had just woken up and she was wearing a floral nightgown and her hair was messy. Rira was sleepy. She yawned and got up. She put on her pink bunny slippers and went to Robin's room with a wooden door. He was going and knocked on the door several times. "Hey Robin, wake up early today. We were supposed to get permission from our parents to go see the opening of the library, do you remember?" Robin hearing this. He was shocked and fell face down on the wooden floor. "This one will definitely stay." Robin came out of his room and yawned. He must have been at this time. He couldn't have been. It was 3 or 4 o'clock. Robin and Rira changed their clothes and entered the bathroom in turn, washed their faces, and brushed their teeth. They went down the stairs, and in front of them was a wooden dining table for 8 with 8 wooden chairs. The Strange Family and the Werewolf Family was sitting on those chairs and eating breakfast, but 2 of these chairs were empty. Upon hearing Mrs. Molly's footsteps, Rira's mother's ears twitched. When she turned around, she saw that Robin and Rira were going down the stairs. And when Robin's older brother named Radwin, who was 18 years old, saw Robin and Rira, he laughed, sad face. He was 18 years old and smiled. "You woke up on the occasion of the special day." While Robin sat in the chair, he pulled a stick back to sit on it and said, "No, it's not a special occasion." He said this and sat on a chair, but unlike Robin, Rira was excited and happy and said in a loud voice, "Today at 1 o'clock, the biggest library is going to be in this. The city will be opened." Robin Strange's mother Tamina smiled. "That's why you woke up earlier than other days." He turned to Robin and said, "Why did you wake up now?" Robin was eating breakfast and said, "Rira promised me that if I go to the bookstore with her, I can get some money from her to play Section 5. And buy." Rira's father Mr. Nixo smiled and turned to Robin's father. "That is Fairy Dawn. You have a strange son." Fairy Dawn shrugged his shoulder. "Well, yes, really. After their conversation, without saying anything else, it is strange." They ate a bowl of hot steamed soup for breakfast. Robin and Rira had their breakfast very quickly. They finished and went outside the house and walked very slowly through the streets and alleys of the city. When they reached the library, all the werewolves were lined up there and were waiting for the library to open. Mr. Magnerio had yellow hair and blue eyes, yellow ears and tail like a wolf. He was wearing a black suit with a red tie. He had a big pair of scissors in his hands. After the countdown, when people counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Mr. Magnerio cut the red ribbon in the middle and the whole place was filled with joy and howling of werewolves because there had been no library there for a long time. The werewolves entered the library. When Robin and Rira went into the library, they were impressed by the distance. The place was filled with books. It was diverse. There were books from old stories to modern stories. Rira was looking for a book on the shelf. A book attracted him. It was a light green book and the name of the book was written in gold color, Secret Garden, and under the book, the author's name was also written in gold color, by Frances Hodgson Brent. Robin saw Rira, who was very excited and her eyes sparkle with happiness. She asked, "Do you like this book?" Rira closed her eyes happily and shook her wolf-like brown ears. "Obviously, I like this book." Robin and Rira they sat on the chair. Robin impatiently put his right hand under his face and said to Rira in order not to get bored, crying face, "Can you read a little louder so that I can hear?" Rira also smiled, crying face, "Very good." He started reading a fantasy story about a magical land and talking animals. Robin, who was not interested in listening to the story, became part of this story and listened to the story with interest. When Rira finished reading, Robin was excited and said, "Wow. This was the strangest story I heard and it didn't have cliched stories." Rira laughed after hearing this from Robin. "I told you that you will change your mind." Since Robin was taller than Rira, Rira said to Robin, "Can you put this book in its place?" Robin took the book from Rira to put it inside the shelf number 1392. Let him. But when he wanted to do this, his foot slipped and he fell on the ground. And there was a large wooden book with 500 old and rotten pages and a protrusion similar to the face of a wolf from the front, inside the protrusion of the golden ring. And the eyes, the wolf was made with a red ruby under it. It was written in gold, "Wolfineos." It was about to hit Robin's head, but luckily Mr. Magnerio, the librarian of the library, caught it before it hit Robin's head and said, "Be careful, young man." Robin did not listen to Magnerio's words. He looked at the book and read its writing. "Wolfineos reminds one of the magic book of movies." Mr. Magnerio winked. "Because this book is magic. If you like, you can take this book with you. Consider it a gift." Mr. Magnerio gave Robin the book and Robin didn't know what to say. Just think. Robin and Rira left the library around 4 o'clock in the afternoon and as Rira had promised, they went to the video game store to buy the game expansion 5 and after a little delay, they left for home. When they went inside, Fairy Dawn asked, "How was it? And what is that book?" Rira showed the book. "The librarian of the library gave this to us." Radvan looked at the book and said, "What's interesting? You want to go and read the book?" Before when Radvan said something, Mrs. Molly jumped into his speech. "Lunch is better, first eat then read the book if you want." Tamina also nodded her head as a sign of approval. Molly is right. They were at the lunch table. Radwan asked his younger brother Robin, "Why did you want the video game expansion 5? And Robin said in response to his older brother, "This is a first-person shooter game for his virtual reality glasses." "Yes, and the quality of the game. It doesn't match the real world, except that it's a game, and in 2025, GTA 6 is going to release a spin-off of this game, which they've been making for 12 years. And this morning, December 5th, the trailer after Robin finished, Mr. Nixo said, "Wow, I didn't know you liked this video game so much." Rira turned to her older sister Agnes. "Let's see what you did today." "Nothing, we sat and watched a movie and it was not an interesting movie," Fairy Dawn said. "You want to know what we did?" While Robin and Rira's eyes were bored, they said at the same time, "You went to the football stadium, watched football and ate puff pastry." He drew and swallowed. "It's true." He laughed out of fear. After having lunch, Robin and Rira went up the wooden stairs and entered the room, closed the door and turned on the light in the room to read Wolfino's book without any noise. But when they opened the book, there was not a single word written in it. Rira said, "Strangely, nothing is written in it, although it is not strange, maybe because it is old, the inks were erased." Robin picked up the book to look at it more closely. "Or maybe it was written with invisible ink." He put the book in front of the sun to make the writing appear, but nothing happened. And they put the book on the wooden floor, and while they were sitting looking at the book, Robin wanted to say something, but the red ruby eyes of the book shone without them noticing, and suddenly the book flipped on its own. Rira were very scared and confused. Suddenly page 249 of a picture book opened. Inside that image, it showed Rira's room live, where Robin and Rira are in that room. Robin thought this was another one of his brother's stupid jokes. He grinned and said, "Okay, brother Radvan, it was a funny joke. If you put a hidden camera here, tell me." Rira looked more carefully at the Wolfino's book and was not sure if it was a joke or not. "I don't think this is a joke." Radvan, "Then why?" "Well, look for yourself." Robin listened to Rira's words and saw the image fading from page 249 of the book. Suddenly a golden light appeared and wrote their names, Robin Strange and Rira the Wolf. A page flipped and between pages 250 and 251 of the book with lines, the vertical light began to glow like white and gold. "Rira is scared and wild." He was looking at Robin and said, "Robin, your hands." And Robin didn't have much of Rira's hands. He scaredly said to Rira, "Rira, look at your hands." When both Robin and Rira looked at their hands, they saw tips. His fingers are turning into powder and they screamed out of fear, but because of the magic of the book that happened, their family D. Their family didn't hear their voices, their whole bodies were being pulverized, and they were pulled into the book like a tornado, and the book was closed, and the glow of the red ruby eyes of the book disappeared. In a green forest, Powders entered the forest from the sky and Robin appeared in the forest, but his clothes were different because he was wearing a hooded red leather jacket with black leather gloves covering half his fingers, black jeans, and gray shoes. When Rira appeared in the forest, she was no longer in her half-human form, but instead a large brown-white wolf. A meter with blue eyes. When Robin and Rira saw each other, they were confused and in shock, and they said at the same time, "Who are you?" "I'm Kim." "Who are you?" Robin said, "I'm Robin," and Rira also said, "I am Rira." "But Robin, you never liked to wear such clothes." "Rira, wasn't it the case that werewolves become 11 years old when their shape-shifting power is activated, so why are you like this now?" Rira was more than confused and said, "I don't know why and I still can't be half-human." Robin was also confused like Rira. "I can't take off these damned clothes too." The ordeal for Robin and Rira had gotten even worse because there were many soldiers with them. They had large and pointed heads in their hands, they were circled around them and they were ready to attack Robin and Rira. Robin raised his hands and Rira raised his front paws together and said at the same time, "We are unfortunate."